Ajusta Tu Corona was a dream of mine since I was very young. I didn't bring it to fruition until I was much older. And basically what it is we all have a story to tell. And a lot of people were not aware of my story, of their stories, and they were a little bit shocked to find out what our humble beginnings were and how we became so successful. So never underestimate the power of your story. It is inspirational, it is motivational, it can save someone's life. My message to all the women out there and to everyone out there who may be facing adversity, never forget how amazing you are. Never forget how exceptional you are. Ajusta tu corona and keep it moving. Buenas noches. Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Ajusta Tu Corona. I am your host, Lillian Maldonado. And because we are in the month of June and this month has been dedicated to men's health and men's mental health, we have a male on our program today. He's been a friend of mine for many, many, many years, and he's gracious enough to join us this evening and tell us a little bit about his story. His name is Noel Quintana. He's also known as Mr. Conga because since the day that I met him, he is a huge conga player. And he's really good at it, and I'll let him tell you about it in a little bit. Good evening, Richard. Welcome. If we have men in the audience, or even you women who have questions regarding abused men, men of adversity, domestic violence, narcissism, anything that you feel may affect a man's health or mental state, please join us this evening. Give us your questions, share. I know a lot of people feel that Ajusta Tu Corona is geared towards women. When I started the show, it absolutely was, because the rate of domestic violence, it's 1 in 4 men, 1 in 4 women compared to 1 in 7 men. So the women demonstrate to need more assistance and more guidance, more tools, because most of them are not afraid to speak. And unfortunately, because a man sees it as a stigma against them when they speak out, they're probably not getting the help that they can possibly get. So tonight, it's all about you guys. I hope you're listening. I hope you're watching. I hope you're sharing this with your friends, your male friends. Have them come on. Please have them ask questions. We are completely open-minded tonight and giving the floor to you and to any questions that women may also have. So I am going to bring on Noel Quintana. Good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you? I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I met Mr. Noel Quintana. And he happens to be back in the day when I decided that I was going to start loving me, and I didn't care to date. When I finally decided that I wanted to start dating, I went on this famous platform called Match.com, Plenty of Fish, and I met Noel. Noel lived at the time in Ohio, and of course, I lived in Connecticut. So he was visiting friends in New York, and we met up in New York, and we went out to eat, and we happened to not hit it off romantically, but this amazing friendship came of it. And he'll tell you a little joke about what happened to us in New York. Well, what happened to us in New York?
Oh, we had a great time. And when it was time for Lillian to take her train, a pack of rats came out of nowhere, ran into a building, and she screamed. was
I
like,
like I grabbed his arm and I didn't know which way to run. And he's like, "Oh no, welcome to New York. Like you act like you've never seen a rat." I was like, "I never seen a rat like that."
yeah,
So
125th in Harlem.
listen, he remembers the address. I do not. I was like terrified. And ever since then, one of the things that came of our friendship is that in a way I became his therapist because though we didn't hit it off romantically, we did become very good friends. And he was going through a very hard time. And I happened to be the person that he called and vented to every night. And I tried to give him the best advice that was within me at the time. And he has come a long way. And I'll let you tell them a little bit about you, Noel.
Well, I don't know where should I start.
Well, start with where you are right now with your music.
Well, in the music, I'm doing really good, doing really well with it. I've had hits in 150 countries, and I continue to work on my craft constantly. So still got busted fingers here, but I still work on it all the time and working on new material to make people happy, make them smile. They're not going to remember anything if I play the wrong note, but they know they're going to have a good time when they come to see Noel Quintana.
And what genre of music do you play?
I play salsa music, and not too like I told one of my colleagues, because he's from another island, and he says, that on our island we play like this.
In a
I
box.
in a box. So I said, because when we play our music, we play for people to dance, not to show how good we are and how these tricks, not for show. So
And
I'll
that's
leave it at that.
Noel, I I don't know if you're comfortable, but I'd like to know if you're willing to share a little bit about your story in the past. Now, I'm going to start it off with a question. With you being a musician and having and being on platforms across the United States, um, musicians tend to have a lot of female attention.
Yes.
My question to you is when you were having difficulties back in the day in your relationship, which which if I'm not mistaken, you said was abusive physically, mentally. Um, I don't know if it was abusive financially, but my question is do you feel that your attentions from female fans ignited that 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 sentiment that she was feeling where she was being violent towards you?
Well, I don't think that mattered
No?
because a lot of times she used to go with me,
Okay.
and I just think that person, that was their temperament. That was their temperament. How would I say? Uh, it could be anything. Anything would trigger this person.
Okay.
A smell, or but it was never because of the attention, the female attention. I was totally devoted to that person, as you knew.
Yes.
I had many opportunities and I didn't act on it. Believe it or not, I would always go straight home. Came home with my money.
Because of her treatment of you, do you think that you were any less of a man in the sentiment of did you feel depressed?
Well, I'm going to tell you, in my upbringing, I saw many things about it between men and women and how men treated women. Uh,
Okay.
I'll give you an example. one gentleman that I knew, he referred to a woman, of this particular woman, as his property. Okay. And
Yeah, it's called the control. That's one of the red
yes.
flags.
And then I saw men that would have bad temper too, and they would hit women, things like that. And I was raised in well, I can say this, right? I was raised in a Christian home, and so those values were kind of instilled in me. And plus, I saw those things coming up, and I thought to myself, "Well, I'll never do that. I'll never hit my wife. I'll never do X, Y, and Z."
Hmm.
And but it just happened to be, I guess, what I attracted at the time, because it happened not only once, it happened twice with two relationships. And I don't know, I guess through their background, and uh, I'll share this with you because I was reluctant to come on here because, I even talked to you yesterday a little
Yes.
bit. And then one of my good friends, he did encourage me. He said, "No, you should do it. You should do it." So uh, I remember in the first relationship, I was actually stabbed.
Mm.
Yes, physically stabbed in the leg at dinner. But
Did you press charges?
no, I didn't. Believe it or not,
Why?
I didn't want the person to go to jail. I didn't. I thought at that point, I kind of thought maybe it was my fault. I brought it on myself. See, and I didn't real. I was very young. I didn't realize it. And again, I didn't put my hands on the person. Didn't it was hard, to try to you want to defend yourself. But I remember the first time I got stabbed, and I didn't press charges. And then once again, because of my values, I stood by the person. And then let's put it this way: when they messed up, I ran as fast as I could. That was my chance. I ran as fast as I could.
So
And
the ending of the relationship wasn't due to the violence, it was due to them being unfaithful.
unfaithful, yes.
Okay.
So I just
So,
took it as a sign. Run away. You're getting a break and a half. Go. So, and
okay.
I took off. And then the second time, I was with this person many, many years. And this person, one moment, could be the sweetest person in the world, could finish your sentences. We had a good connection. And when things were good, they were good. But when things were bad, they were bad. And in that particular relationship that lasted off and on for 24 years, I once again was stabbed in the back. And by then I had children, and I thought to myself, maybe I brought it on myself, and I didn't want her to go to jail, mother of the kids, that kind of stuff. When I finally had a chance to get away from the person, and I was already living on my own, and they had another relationship, and I started maybe to entertain company, but in a public place. No public displays of affection, no holding hands, because I consider myself to be a gentleman. And I'm at the club, I'm at the gig, putting my drums in the car, and then I start getting beat on right there, in front of everybody. It was very embarrassing. But didn't put my hands on her, just put my stuff away. This person actually followed me home and wanted to crash their car into my car. It was crazy. And then in that instance, I decided to press charges because I figured enough was enough. And then at that time, I had a change of heart, so then I dropped it. I just wanted to be left alone. Thank God I ran away again. Once I had an opportunity, I ran away as far as I could. I ran to another state. Now I'm in Pennsylvania. Later on, that person did apologize to me and said how sorry they were and blah blah blah. But I put it behind me.
We encourage women not to put it behind them. In your case, and I don't understand why you decided to put it behind you. You know, everyone thinks differently. But I ask you this question. If the shoe had been on the other foot,
Oh
if you
no!
no, not you hitting her.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
say that you had a friend that stabbed his wife in the back. Would you encourage her to go back to that relationship?
Oh, not at all. I told her to run away and press charges and lock him up and throw away the key.
So why do you not feel that you were entitled to the same treatment?
Well, that's true. That is true. Because I was asked that before from another friend. Like, yo, that's messed up. You should have pressed charges. But I couldn't do it. I didn't. I looked at it at the time was the kids would lose not one parent, they would lose two parents. I mean, I would not abandon my children. I have never done that. I stood by this person and I took care of those kids no matter what was going on. Whether they would even disappear. They would disappear for days at a time. And you remember we talked about stuff like that. And I did stay there. I did my focus all that time were the children.
Okay.
And of course, I can say publicly, I did was truly. I thought I was in love with this person. This person walked in the room, and I was crazy about this person, and I didn't want to. And the main focus was the children.
Okay. Do you believe that the reason that the children would disappear for days on end is
Well, not the
because
children, the spouse.
the what?
The spouse would disappear.
Oh, the
No,
spouse
not
would
the children.
disappear.
It was the.
How do
So,
you think that affected your children, though?
well, I'll give you. I'll share this with you. And the kids were older. My oldest daughter, she says to me, "Hello," like your wife just walked in at 11 o'clock in the morning. You're not gonna say anything? And I said, I can say a lot of things, but you don't want the Cleveland Police Department here, because that's what it would have turned into. That's
So
what it would
your
have
own
turned into.
children were telling you what your response or what your reactions should have been,
Yes.
but you always maintained yourself level-headed.
I tried to maintain myself, always tried to maintain my composure and my cool, okay? And because number one, the other thing too, the unfortunate part, being a public person. And I think you were a witness to this. Being a public person, I remember one day I was messing around on a computer on my laptop. I was talking to you, happened to have my phone in my lap. And you heard the verbal abuse I took.
Mhm.
And I was very embarrassed, but I left it. I didn't hang up the phone. I left the phone in my lap. And then eventually, when I had a chance, I kind of left and hung up the phone. And when we spoke after, you were like, "My God, how could you take that? That was verbal abuse." That was because even that's a big thing, verbal abuse. People don't see that.
Mhm.
And the verbal abuse, sometimes it does kind of gets in there, like they say in church, get on the inside, and you
Absolutely.
kind of start believing some of these things. Well, maybe I'm not this, or maybe I don't do this, or maybe you know, it happens.
Noel, do you
It
feel
happens.
that all of that mental abuse all of this abuse that she was putting you through, because like as you stated, I remember that phone call now that you bring it up. Um, do you feel that she belittled you so much that you became a shell, that 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 you were afraid that you didn't deserve anything better?
Well, there were times that I did think that. There were times that I did think, like, I'm not good enough. I did think these things. They did think all this, was weighing down on you. And
Did you ever seek therapy? Did you ever suffer from depression and seek therapy?
I did one time. I did see a therapist, but it made it worse for me. It's unfortunate because I've even one of my children. I had this private conversation with my son, and he said, Pop, that's a lot to hold in. How do you do that? And I focus on other things. I like, I work with my hands. I like building things. Over the years, I've always talked to you. I'm like, hey, I'm going to get this tool. I'm going to buy that tool. I need one more tool to complete this project. That was how I am with my music, and my art and helping people. That's basically, I mean, even before coming on today, I had a situation today, at work. And that was kind of heartbreaking, but that's in the business that I'm in. And it wasn't the first time that's happened. That's happened before. So I guess over the years, with these kind of type of experiences, the one thing I'm not saying, well, the abused can become an abuser. I'm not saying I became an abuser, but what happens is maybe you become a little more defiant when you get older. You tolerate less, and sometimes that comes across as you being non-empathetic, or you being, you know, I'm trying to keep this G-rated, but you not being a good exemplary person. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you're not taking any more crap. I'm not cursing at the person. I'm not. I just, and that goes across on other things in life too. Employers, because even back in the day, working some of these places that I worked at, now there's all kinds of laws. People got camera phones. They got, and I took verbal abuse from employers. So it was around a lot. So I didn't know any better, and a lot of times I thought maybe it was just me. Maybe that's what I'm attracting. At the age that I have now, somebody gives it to me, I give it back. You know what I'm saying?
We like to say that you learned to love yourself and you found
Yes,
your value.
yes, yes. Because it doesn't mean that I'm an abuser. It just means I ain't taking what you're selling, what you're pushing. No, 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 no. You want to give it, I can give it back. But it does. I don't go out of my way to look for problems.
Mhm, mhm. We have some comments from our audience. We have
Oh,
Richard, and Richard stated, "Welcome, Noel." We have Iritza who says, "Hello, my queens and kings." Michelle says, "Good evening, everyone." And Richard went on to comment, "Verbal abuse is that manipulation and gaslighting. It becomes a very confusing existence. He knows that feeling." Then he goes on to say, when you no longer want to take the crap, as you so put it, people think that you come off as cold, insensitive. And so he's understanding what you're saying. Now, even though Noel went through all of this, he never gave up on love. And he did go on to find his third wife, and had another child. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, Elizabeth Taylor was married 7 times.
I know this one woman that was married
And,
like
and
times.
we that was the best thing she ever did because she never gave up on love. So
Yes.
um when okay, when the relationship that you're in now, you stated that you because of what you went through in the past, that you no longer, so is
Well, it's been a
I'm not
little.
trying
It's
to
been a
give you,
little hard.
huh?
It's been a little hard in the interactions too,
Okay.
because I'm older than this person. I'm 13 years older than my current wife.
Okay.
So there is an age difference. And she's from a more corporate background. And she's been through her own challenges as well. But so I don't know if it's that, but sometimes when little it could be dumb, something dumb, but sometimes I'll blame it on maybe cultural backgrounds. She's from Pennsylvania, from the country. I'm from Brooklyn, so I have to tell people, hey, I'm not pissed off. Excuse my language. I'm Puerto Rican from New York. This is the way we talk.
Yeah, I understand that. Do you have, having gone what you went through and where you are right now, is there any advice you would give to a male who is going through adversity or abuse right now?
Well, the other thing is, if you have any female friends or other male friends that you can talk to, people that you trust, that you can talk to, because unfortunately, there's really no center for women that go through domestic abuse. There's shelters for them. There's places for them to go. There's no place for a man to go, really. I heard there was one in like Kentucky somewhere. Just one place in the whole United States. Are you serious? And then, I understand que hay hombres que son sinvergüenza. I understand that. But a lot of times when the police go to your house, there's a domestic issue, and the police come, the guy could be all jacked up, and they usually take the mail away. And meanwhile, the man is the one that got beat up by the woman. So those little things, they need to change. But the only thing I always tell people, I'm sad today. I'm this today. I That's just me, my coping skills. I always find something to do.
So they
Not
say
everybody
that
can do that.
when a woman is depressed, she tends to show it in sadness. And when a man is depressed, he tends to show it in irritability or anger. So those are also things that can be confused when the law is called. But another reason is that because men consider this a stigma,
Yes.
not enough of them are seeking help. Not
No.
enough of them are voicing their opinions as to what is happening to them. So, would the statistics still be 1 in 4, or would it be and 1 in 7 if more men stepped forward?
Yes. Because in one of those altercations where I was physically attacked, when they came out, they took me. I'm the one with the ripped shirt. I'm the one all jacked up. I'm got taken away. And like I'm sitting in the can overnight, and what do I hear? I hear chatter from the other people that were there and similar stories. This happened. They were out doing this with some guy. They happened to walk up, and then he got attacked. Anyway, since I'm a good egg, the next day they said, we don't want to see you here anymore. We're letting you go. There's no record of you. I went up to another state at that time, returning like 10 months later. But in that case, the abuser came and got me. Oh, I want you to come home. I want you to straighten things out, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, I did. I still got a clean record, too. Gotta throw that out there, though. But I lead a very peaceful, lead a very good life here. I host foreign exchange students. I love them. I got 2 girls here from Japan. They're the sweetest girls around. I've hosted girls from China, Mexico. So I enjoy doing that. And One of my closest friends that you had met, a good friend of mine, he said to me, "You know what, man? You've always had a very forgiving heart. Why is that?" I don't know. Maybe it's my because of my religious upbringing. Even though I don't really go to a church anymore, I do pray a lot. I don't. I'm not in church every day like I was a kid, but I do pray a lot. But I don't know if it's those values is what keeps me grounded. The faith.
When you were at the police station, or when you were in the car on the way to the police station, did you say, "I didn't touch her, she abused me"? Like, what was there any like
Well,
interaction from the police officer once he took you? I know that they don't give legal advice; they just arrest,
no, not
remove.
at all. Well, these particular guys, like I said, I must have guardian angels. They didn't handcuff me. I guess they could tell. They deal with like I call them dirt bags every day, and no, they didn't handcuff me. They treated me nice. They walked me into state. They didn't even handcuff me. As a matter of fact, when I got out of the car, they said, "You're not gonna run away, are you?" I'm like, "No. Why would I do that?"
Oh my
And I
God.
stood quiet. Was there just overnight, and in the morning I was let go. But I was very lucky. They didn't rough me up. They didn't talk to me bad. They were very pleasant. They were like nothing. Like it was, just let's just take this guy to the can for tonight, and we'll sort it out later. I was very lucky.
When I'm gonna ask you some personal questions. I mean, it's on you if you would like
I'm
to.
starting to sweat now.
And do you have any medical issues regarding like high blood pressure? Um, you can share the one that you've been sharing with me about, the one that you told me about recently, and this is leading to something. Um,
Well, there was a time that I abused alcohol. There was a time that I abused alcohol. I don't know if I shared that with you.
um, yeah, but most of the time was when you were out on your gigs.
Yes,
Yes. So it kind of like comes with
but then it kind of
my
spilled
question
over at
is,
home.
when you hold all of this in, you get severe stress,
Oh yes,
anxiety,
yes, yes,
heart palpitations. Have you experienced any of that?
yes. I think I told you last week. I was at work. For some strange reason, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Felt very overwhelmed. But this started last year. Uh, I'll take it back to 2020. 2020, when everything shut down, I was, for the first time in recorded history, I was booked for the whole entire year. I was booked. Of course, the pandemic came, shut everything down. Could have stayed home, boohoo, collect unemployment, which I did for a minute. But I immediately went back to work again to keep myself occupied. I went back to work. And some very bad places to work. Did make a couple of friends. You know me, everywhere I go, I try to turn a negative into a positive. But this one place I was working at, I started getting these back pains, and they thought maybe it was my kidneys. So I go to the doctor, get a physical, a urine, blood, you name it. They came back and they said, "Mr. Quintana, you're in good health, except you're getting old. You're in good health, and you have anxiety." So I've been dealing with that. And I find lately, I didn't know this was meditation. I find lately, if I sit down somewhere and I try to be very still and very quiet for a few minutes, it passes.
So
So I
that's
was
your
told that
way.
was
That's your
meditation.
way of dealing with it. Okay.
Lately, yes, yes.
So the reason that I ask is that the statistics show that 3 in 5 men feel COVID-19 has had a more significant negative impact on their mental health. And 66% of men said they rarely talk about the impact that COVID-19 has had on their mental health. So all of these statistics that I'm giving have to do with COVID. But I'm wondering if we go back in time, 77% of men report their stress level has increased due to COVID. 59% of men felt isolated during the pandemic. And nearly half of men say their emotional mental health has worsened during the pandemic. So, what does this mean? All of you are getting depression. So, as I stated before, depression in men as shown as irritability or anger. At what point do you think that you had depression? Do you have anxiety? You said you felt depressed at times.
Yes,
Did it
there were a
come
couple of
out?
times.
Oh yeah.
There was a couple of times. But I did learn, I did learn this, that there's a difference between being sad and being depressed.
Hmm.
You say, I didn't know, a lot of times, oh, I'm so depressed, whatever, right? But it's, I did learn that there's a difference between clinical depression and an actually being sad. So I guess at times, there were times when I was sad.
Did you ever feel, because men don't tend to show their depression, or because men don't go to the doctor or seek therapy, did you ever feel suicidal?
Yeah, yeah, I remember because of the one relationship. I remember, I don't know if I told you this story. There was a night I went out on the town and I went to this club, I went to that club, I drank here, I did whatever. And I remember coming back to my little place that I was at in Queens. And I remember I threw myself on the bed and I was a wreck. I was crying and I told God to kill me. I didn't want to live anymore. Okay. And maybe that's why I used to drink a lot. There was a time where I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna die anyway. That's how I was feeling. And anyway, the next morning when I woke up, I always have the habit of listen to the news. But that particular morning when I woke up, looked out the window and I saw this beautiful sunrise. And I thought, wow, that's beautiful. Like, wow. And then, I looked in the mirror and I'm doing my stuff and I listened to the news and then I hear about this plane that took off and blew up and all these people died. And at that moment, I thought to myself, wow, you think you have problems. Little things like that would kind of pull me through. And there were other times where I would just sit somewhere and sit by a highway, look at the traffic and thinking I don't want to live anymore. But inside of me, there was always this voice that would say, no, you can't do this. Like, nope, you got to go on. F this person, F that person. You're Noel Quintana. You got to do this. You have to fulfill whatever mission that is that you got to do. And I'm talking about as far back as 2010. I had those thoughts. And remember what a little while ago I said I went to the checkup and we can't find anything wrong with you. So the doctor says, okay, Mr. Quintana, she gives me a sheet. So all these places you can call. So for help. So I smiled, tucked it in my pocket, and I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate your kindness. And I said, you know what? Now I'm a recording artist, and I've made friends in 150 countries. I think I have plenty of people that I can talk to now. Somebody will pick up the phone. Could be in Portugal, could be in Argentina, could be in Peru. You know, that kind of has helped me too. Having some friends, but there's some people that don't have that support, don't have friends, and I would just tell them if they got to go and talk to somebody, of course, go talk to somebody. If somebody won't listen, that person won't listen, go to the next person, of course, you know, because not everybody's the same. That's just how I cope with things.
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
pongo a limpiar, I clean. I'm a neat freak. I start cleaning, I find things to do. And I did that during the, in 2020, during the shutdown. And I was real proud when I lost 30 pounds over the summer of 2020. Everything was shut down. So couldn't go to McDonald's, couldn't go to Jimmy John's. And I was fortunate enough to find a job and get out of debt. And because I had debts, a lot of debts when you're recording and self-employed. And I was self-employed for a while. Now I'm working with senior citizens, and I enjoy working there, except when they check out, you know, and you don't see them anymore. That is a little heartbreaking, but for the most part, I found a nice little place that I work at now, and I'm performing, and I'm getting better and better.
So we have someone that would like to know, where do you play music, and do you have a website? Where can they go to listen to your music?
Oh well, I have a website. It's you don't have to put www anymore. Just go to thelatincrew.com. There's some samples of my music there. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I started finally using a Twitter. I have YouTube videos where I have a lot of students, so I teach whenever the opportunity arises. I pass along my knowledge to someone else. You can go to YouTube. My music's on YouTube, of course, Spotify. Or I do a radio program every Sunday on this radio station out of San Francisco, California. It's called SaborBoricuaRadio.com. So I come on every Sunday at 4 p.m., 3 p.m. Central, and like I say on my show, 1 p.m. on the left coast.
So when you were talking about sadness, I'm going to go back and read some of our audience comments. When you were talking about the sadness and depression, Richard stated, I call it the blues versus being depressed. And he wrote, it'll be all right. And then we have Iritza, who was on our show a couple weeks ago and told her story as well. And she said, just don't be embarrassed or ashamed. I didn't get help because I was ashamed. It's not normal to be abused, man or parent. There is too much of it. And the reason for this show is just for that. We need more people speaking out on mental health, on abuse, on adversity, because if we don't act on what we say and we don't react on what we say, the statistics are still going to be low.
Yes, but really,
Like,
what really needs to change too, on the other side of the coin, like I said, where does the man go? That part got to change. You know what I mean? Because where do men go?
yeah,
You know what I mean? I mean, I could have done like any number of things. Why didn't you get out? Why didn't? It's true when you know you're looking from the outside in. Why didn't he get out? Why did he take that crap? Oh my God, I just want to smack him upside the head. You know what I mean? But like I said, uh, I really felt it was my duty to protect my kids, to be by my kids, no matter what. And today there was another incident we had talked about privately, where I worked so hard to keep that family together, but half of them are here and half of them are here. But the kids do talk to each other, but they don't talk to the mother. Half of them talk to the mother, and the other half don't, because and you know, because of some of the stuff she has been involved in.
hmm hmm Um, I really want to have a show with the parents' permission that will allow the children to speak on how they felt. I brought
Sure.
my oldest son on, who witnessed my abuse and,
Oh,
shared how he felt. And, oh,
go ahead, continue. I'm listening.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's
But,
just me again with my crazy multitasking.
um, so I appreciate you for coming on today. Is there any other questions from our audience before I let Mr. Quintana leave for the evening? I wanna deeply from my heart say thank you for sharing your story with us. It's so important for people to see the man's perspective as well, or even the people that are abused by their own children, because
Oh,
we've had that on as well. Um,
and what about these caregivers that take care of these old people? I had
yeah,
a conversation today with a lady. There was nobody around. And I said, hey, by the way, why were you talking to that man like that? Da, 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 you know, I'm
hmm
already, because it happens in everything.
hmm
Everywhere you go, I mean, but sometimes you got to be careful, you're right, because a lot of times you try to have good intentions
they
but
backfire.
people, yes, but if you in some position and you see something like that, report it because that's not good. That's not good. And the men, like I said, they can handle it one way or the other, but definitely not, you know, not breaking the TV or putting your fist through the wall. That doesn't solve anything. I mean, it's easier said than done because sometimes when you're in the heat of the battle, the person could push the buttons. You know what I mean?
Richard would like to know, where can he get a Mr. Softy T-shirt?
Well, it was so funny story. I was watching, I think Iron Man, and this guy Downey had a Mr. Softy T-shirt, and I've been looking for one forever. So I found it on Google. So I ordered myself one, and my wife happened to order me one at the same time. So I got two of them. But just go to Google, put Mr. Softy T-shirt. I got mine on eBay, and she got it direct from the company. Go figure. And I have tons of T-shirts. Because I have, and one of the musicians was saying in a rehearsal, "How many T-shirts do you own, man?" And my student was there. She goes, "Oh, he has many T-shirts."
We like Noel, thank you so much for being with us. In ending the show, I'd like to let you know mental illness isn't a weakness or something that will get better if you just buck up. No amount of willpower will cure it, and it won't go away on its own. Untreated, mental illness can have serious consequences. Mental illness is treatable.
Yeah,
Now,
it'll
don't
affect the other
think
parts of the body.
Yeah, don't think that you are the only one in this boat. If you have watched the news, you'll see that there are so many celebrities that have come out admitting that they have mental illness. Michael Phelps, Shawn Mendes, and hopefully more people that have that kind of platform, actors, um, athletes, will come out and speak more about it so that all of these men that think that not crying and holding all of this in is unmanly, it's really
Oh,
unhealthy.
no, it has to come out. It's like water, right? Water finds a way to get through the cracks, you know? And if you don't let it out, I'm not ashamed to say I've shed many a tear. Okay? Even today, because in the work that I'm in, and this is for a total stranger, you know? How do you not have any feelings? But you, if you gotta cry, man, go do it. If you gotta go somewhere private, no te culpo. Nobody's gonna blame you.
Mm-mm. It's
Los
probably,
hombres lloran también, ¿sabes?
I'm not. Listen, I'm far from a therapist, but I have to say that a good cry is a cleansing of the soul. So, for those of you that don't cry and are holding this rage in, you're probably the ones that have the higher blood pressure, the diabetes. You need that escape. As he said, it's like water. You have to let it
Yeah.
go. So, if you need a good cry, cry. It doesn't make you any less of a man, and it will definitely help like balance out your feelings. Thank you to everyone that is watching. As always, my message to all of you is remember how loved you are. Remember how amazing you are. Remember how exceptional you are. Ajusta tu corona and keep it moving. Is there any words of inspiration you would like to leave with our audience this evening, Noel?
Never give up. Really, never give up. If your dream, whatever dream you have, every day that you get up, try to accomplish that dream. Whatever step you got to take, who cares if it doesn't happen today or it doesn't happen next week? It might happen next year, but as long as you get up in the morning and you have breath in your body and you can move around, do whatever you can to accomplish your dreams. Because I waited till I was 55 years old to do this. And now I'm working on my,
Congratulations.
it's on CD form too. And I'm also now working on my second studio album. And I've appeared with some other artists in my 50s. I'm going to be 60 years old in December.
It's never too late to fulfill your dream.
Yeah.
The only thing that stops it is death. And until the
Yeah,
day
no.
that that happens, you continue to try to fulfill your dream.
Yeah, when you leave here, leave with no regrets.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Un abrazo.